On behalf of St. Paul Fire Department, I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank our public safety partners, Regions Hospital, Minnesota State Fire Marshal's office. We've got some speakers here today that want to talk about safety, especially around the 4th of July, safe handling of fireworks, and the way they can be handled, and people can enjoy the holiday and still be safe at the end of the day. So first speaker will be Jim Smith with State Fire Marshal's office.
State Fire Marshal's office would like to wish everybody a safe and happy 4th of July weekend. We also want to remind everybody that if you are going to be using fireworks during the 4th of July holidays, that you use Minnesota legal fireworks only. Those fireworks, in a simple definition, are those fireworks that do not explode or do not launch in the air. We have some examples down on the front table here, but I must advise you that some of the examples down on the front table are not Minnesota legal. So as a general rule, do not use any firework that launches in the air or explodes. One of our biggest concerns is sparklers and ground fountains, because they appear to be very safe, but actually that's burning metal that is creating those sparks. A tip of a sparkler can be anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 degrees. So we ask everybody, if you're using sparklers this year, especially with kids, stay at least 6 feet away from everybody. That way, if you're swinging your arms around, you're not going to touch somebody else, or the sparks aren't going to harm anybody else. Always have a bucket of water handy. Just don't drop the used or spent sparkler on the ground. That's a really bad place to be, especially if kids are running around in bare feet, because the metal rod still retains a lot of heat. So have a bucket of water and have them put it in the bucket of water. Always watch your children. That is the big thing. Lastly, we want to make sure, again, like I say, everybody is safe, and one of the ways is that if you are using Minnesota legal fireworks, please do not mix alcohol and fireworks. That is a very bad combination. Too many people have been injured due to lack of attentiveness. We've had last year alone over $721,000 in property damage due to careless use of fireworks. That equals the amount of property loss for the other 10 months in Minnesota combined. So that is a lot of damage to property only in 2 months between June and July. So once again, the Fire Marshal's office wishes everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. Thank you.
And we do have an adolescent who was injured with a sparkler 3 years ago, and we're going to have a very vivid example of how dangerous they can be here at the end of these speakers. So next will be Mark Johnson with Regions Hospital Burn Unit.
Thank you, Mike. At Regions Hospital, we see upwards of 100 injuries every summer related to fireworks. Those injuries could be what we would classify as pretty minor injuries, such as that could result from handing a sparkler back and forth to our children or to each other. Those injuries can also be much more severe, such as holding onto a firecracker before it explodes, and we see amputations of fingers or hands. Some of those injuries result in a quick trip to the hospital, but also those injuries can result in multiple hospital days and multiple surgeries related to those injuries. Some of the safety tips that we wanted to talk about this morning are to never light fireworks in a container or indoors. We want to keep kids a safe distance away, at least 5 feet away from sparklers, 20 feet away from fountains, 40 feet away from any launched fireworks. Don't drink and light, as Jim Smith had alluded to. We want to have a safe, designated, sober person that's responsible for lighting those fireworks. As Jim also said, a bucket of water nearby is helpful. Don't try to relight or handle malfunctioning fireworks. Those will typically explode when you're not ready for that to happen. If you do get a burn, the treatment should be cool water initially. Cover the loose skin with a bandage and then seek medical attention. We at Regions want you to have fun this week and over the 4th of July. We live in a great country. We should celebrate its independence. We just want you to do so safely. Our best advice for that is to leave the fireworks to the professionals.
So our third speaker is Captain Roy Macoso, Captain and Fire Investigator with St. Paul Fire Department.
The 4th of July is a great time of the year, and it's a great opportunity to celebrate the holiday with family and friends. There's numerous hazards. We have bonfires, barbecues, and also fireworks. The big emphasis today will be about keeping people safe. We have a number of demonstrations that will involve different fireworks. St. Paul City lots just aren't big enough to have a private display or a personal display of fireworks. Most lots are in close proximity to homes, other structures or garages, as well as vegetation, which quickly catches on fire. St. Paul responds to a number of injuries as well as fires throughout the year, but we see a peak in around the 4th of July season. One of the underestimated things is sparklers. Sparklers do burn in excess of 2,000 or 3,000 degrees at its core, which is hot enough to melt metal. Yet these are commonly handed out to children to celebrate the 4th of July. Again, we'll have some displays as well as some burns, just showing what can happen, as well as talk about some safety procedures so that you and your family can enjoy the 4th of July safely.
As promised, we've got a guest today. No offense to these guys, but certainly the cutest one in the bunch. We've got Hazel Hermanson, who in 2015, 3 years ago, when she was 3 years old, was playing with one of these super sparklers, and it was just lit, started twirling it around, and again, this is a Minnesota State firework, and was twirling it around, caught it the wrong way, landed on her chest, and this was the result. And we will email you all a copy of this picture. And she is left with a scar today, and it's diminishing in size, but she does have a scar. Her mother was there. Her mother is Robin Hermanson, and she'll talk to you a little bit about the event if you got any questions for her. But again, she was playing with a Minnesota Safe sparkler, what her mom thought was perfectly safe. Every other kid was playing with it, and resulted in a traumatic injury and probably a lifelong scar.
So 3 years ago, a friend got some sparklers for us, and I didn't want to say no. I felt in my heart that it was wrong, but I let her play with it, and she was just swinging it around, and a piece of it flew back on her and burnt her chest. She had a horrible scream. We took her to the ER right away after and was treated with a burn. If I knew that would have happened, I never would have let her play with a sparkler. So, yeah.
As a mom, what was going through your mind?
Robin,
Just-
back to the mic.
My heart was broken. I just felt horrible that this happened to her. I never wanted something like this to happen to her, to be burnt, to be hurt, to have to deal with this, and it's something that she's going to have to deal with now as an adult, because it's going to be a scar right on her chest for the rest of her life.
Biggest message you want other parents out there to hear?
Don't let your kids play with sparklers. They're very dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the key, that there are going to be burn injuries that we're going to see this coming week and next weekend, and certainly some of those can be minor, some can be much more severe. So the minor injuries, we'd like to see all of those patients, all of those injuries, just so we can make the best recommendation we can, and seeing those injuries early is the key message. If it's too late, those injuries can be severe enough that they may require some skin grafting or some other surgeries. So cool water is fine initially for that burn. Get it covered up with a dressing or some sort of gauze bandage or something like that, and then seek medical attention right away.
Okay, that concludes this portion. The rest of the today's events are going to revolve around the dynamic demonstration put on by Captain Roy Macoso and Fire Engine 20, and Captain Tweed will be handling the safety line and that aspect of the demonstration. So if you want to turn your cameras around and get ready for that, we'll begin that in about 5 minutes.
Again, these are items that we generally give to children, letting them play with or hold for celebration of the 4th. 3 different sizes, and you'll see I'm utilizing gloves for this demonstration. As I look at this with the thermal imager, I see surface temperatures in excess of 400 degrees for all 3 of them. Regardless of size, at their core, they're burning anywhere from 1,800 to 2,000 degrees. So whether it's a small sparkler or a big sparkler, the smaller sparkler is not necessarily safer. They both are burning at intense heat that can melt, again, some metals. Just in contrast, I'll go ahead and fire up the torch again. Surface temperature of the torch at its peak is actually lower than the magnesium burning on the sparkler right now. Once you've utilized the sparkler, the best thing to do is go ahead and dump in a bucket of water, and you'll hear the sizzle as it remains hot, even if it is not burning. This touches your skin, instant 3rd-degree burns. Again, you see sparks coming off the sparkler. Any of those to the face or eyes, soft tissue areas, can leave permanent damage, in particular to the face. Again, sparklers, probably one of the items that you might let a child handle. Strongly encourage you not to let children handle sparklers. Stick them in the ground, operate them from a safe distance, and let the children observe them. From a safety standpoint, I'm wearing gloves, long sleeve shirt, I have eye protection on as well, and I'm handling a sparkler, which again, might be something that's actually given to children. All right, you can go ahead and put that one out. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna light one of the sparklers, and I'm gonna bring it over here just to for a dynamic display. The balloons simulate soft tissue, possibly eyes or my face. As I bring the sparkler across it, you'll see that the balloons will pop as a result of the heat and the sparks coming off the sparkler. Then from there, I'm gonna touch it to a couple different shirts. I've got a cotton shirt as well as a polyester shirt, and they'll react differently as it relates to the heat from the sparkler. It takes about 3 to 5 seconds for a piece of clothing to catch on fire, and only about a second for a 3rd-degree burn to occur with the temperatures involved with sparklers. And then after that, I probably will drop the sparkler into this dry hay here that's gonna simulate, dry grass. So a number of the fireworks that are legal in Minnesota are in pretty colors and look like toys. Again, they appear just in color to be able to be handled by children. I strongly recommend that you do not. I'll go ahead and light a sparkler here. You can see the sparks coming off of it already. As I bring that close to the balloons, just simulating that it's soft tissue, like my eyes or my face, it quickly pops the balloons. I'll do these shirts next, okay? T-shirts, they're nice to wear. Obviously in the summer we like polyester, some of these moisture wicking t-shirts. As I bring it to a cotton shirt, 3 to 5 seconds, and I can get an instant burn, okay? Cotton burns a little bit differently than the polyester. Once the wind dies down. The cotton will burn a little bit different than the polyester, but it doesn't take long to get the shirt on fire. Polyester, on the other hand, melts and will actually melt to your skin, making the burn that more significant. And sometimes we just go ahead and drop the sparkler. We should get some good burns here from this. Again, the cotton takes a little bit longer and will get fully involved. The polyester will melt and create a significant heat injury and burn to the area where the fire is. We get a number of brush fires as it relates to fireworks in the city. Again, there's not a lot of areas where you can set off any fireworks without being in close proximity to, again, a structure, a garage, or house, or something like that. In particular, aerial fireworks, when people shoot off bottle rockets or anything that does go up in the air, which is not legal in the state of Minnesota, we get fires on top of roofs. So we get roof fires, all in and around the period of the 4th of July. I'm gonna go ahead and light these up. Again, the hay is just simulating dry grass or leaves, an area where somebody might choose to light off fireworks. So 3 of our smaller ground torches quickly catch the dry hay on fire, and this can quickly grow and extend to structures. And just a bucket of water probably isn't going to do it. If this is my safety element, as I try to douse it, it's not going to be enough to put out the fire. The fire will just continue to grow. You should have a hose line in place if you are going to have any demonstrations involving ground fireworks. So I'm using a torch today instead of the little lighter. And keep in mind, the lighter has got a safety switch on it and a clicker. It's something that we wouldn't want children to handle. But as I look at the temperature of the flame coming from the lighter, again, the sparkler is about 10 times hotter. So an item that we wouldn't give to children to play with or handle has a safety on it. We don't want children touching this, but yet 4th of July time frame comes, we hand them a sparkler that's going to burn in excess of 2,000 degrees. So I will light these with the torch, have my bucket on standby. Oh. I'll let this go for a little bit, but this is a good example of 2 things. 1, our fountains don't always stay standing upright. And 2, we also have duds. One of the fountains did not go off. Hey, go ahead and put it out. Okay, I didn't plan the dud, but we did have one. If you do have a dud, hey, the best thing to do is soak it. Once you've soaked it with the hose, let's go ahead and soak it some more. These are my hands I'm worried about. Soak it with a hose for as long as you can. Let it sit for a while. Once you've let it sit and it hasn't gone off, you want to take it and you want to put it in a bucket of water. Again, wearing gloves, long sleeve, eye protection. Go ahead and take your dud and place it in a bucket of water. A lot of the fireworks places have a no dud policy. They want you to bring back any unexpended fireworks and you could either get your money back or it'll be replaced. Okay? Do so only after properly soaking it, letting it sit overnight, and making sure that it's out. There's many times people get done with firework display and they feel that they're done. They do the right thing by cleaning things up, and then they place it into a large garbage next to their garage. They go inside, they go home, or they go inside and they go to bed. Shortly thereafter, they have a garage fire. Okay? Make sure everything is out and properly out. My dummy hand, and it's gonna have just an M80 in it. Thanks, sir. Again, anything that explodes or goes up in the air is not legal in the state of Minnesota, but we live in close proximity to Wisconsin where it's pretty easy to go across the border and get stuff. Again, these should be lit on the ground. As you've seen all my demonstrations, I've not been holding anything. In this situation, we'll simulate an individual holding an M80. Ooh. Okay, we've got some instant 3rd-degree burns and damage to both of our fingers.